Congressman Khanna, kind enough to join us. Congressman, I know you tried to bridge both sides and then to move forward here, but there is a perception, it's increasing among the general electorate, to say nothing of independent voters, that the party is under the control of progressives, those who wish the fossil industry ill or has a tin ear to inflation, all of this, and that it's ignoring the signal that might have been sent out of Virginia, almost out of New Jersey. What do you make of that? Are you worried for your party and the message it seems to be sending?
Neil, I'm back home in California. I understand that prices are going up. I mean, gas is almost $5 here. I was at the grocery store. The price of eggs have gone up. The price of milk has gone up. Other colleagues get that. So I don't think we're out of touch. The question is, what can we do about it? And some of us believe that we've got to get people back into the labor market. That will help increase the number of goods. And the Build Back Better agenda actually helps do that with paid family leave, with child care. It helps get people back into the labor force.
Well, what will make them get back in the labor force now if even eye-popping high wages and more jobs than there are people unemployed are not doing it?
Well, no, folks are having to juggle childcare, especially in COVID with families. So I think providing some relief on childcare.
But we had childcare issues before COVID, did we not? I mean, I'm not minimizing the problem, but what's so new now that the government has to intervene and spend billions of dollars to address?
We did have problems before, but I think people have more challenges now. As the schools haven't been open fully. Now they're finally getting open. People have had kids at home. There have been anxiety issues. There have been health issues. Paid family leave will help get people back in. And in general, it provides more incentive for people to work. The earned income tax credit in the Build Back Better is an incentive for people to work. So there are a lot of things in there that are going to increase the labor supply. And also, by the way, investments in the ports and the infrastructure bill, investments in bringing manufacturing back will help increase the supply chains. But it's a difficult problem. I mean, some of us.
Do you think the president's on top of it, though, Congressman? The rap against him, especially yesterday during his remarks, and he was shocked at the price of gasoline. But average Americans could tell him, and you just mentioned it because you apparently go to the gas station and see for yourself. And but that the president seems aloof, detached, out of touch. What do you think?
That has not been my experience, Neil. I mean, I have spoken to him a number of times, and he's down to earth. He gets it. I mean, he's someone who's filled his own gas tank. He's gone and to grocery stores.
Yeah, but he seemed genuinely shocked at these prices, and and at a loss to see what he could do about them. Do you think he's in over his head?
I do not. I believe that he's going to take decisive action. I think he should tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. People say, well, look, Democrats want to transition to renewable energy. How is it that you're then saying tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve or have OPEC increase production? And I think, Neil, this is an important point. That's right now. Production, the oil companies made a decision when oil was at $22 2 years ago not to increase production. Anything they're talking about now isn't going to happen for 2 to 3 years. So we need to have relief now.
Oil is priced in the markets, and you're pretty savvy at that. You know that. And the markets responded to the president upon taking office, shutting down Keystone and factoring in his favoring, wind and solar. I get that, but that at the expense of our own domestic production. Do you think in retrospect that was a mistake? Because the very type of oil production he frowned on upon taking office, he's now begging OPEC and OPEC plus countries to do.
Neil, I don't, because oil's at $82. It's obviously the president's policy hasn't made oil go down. Oil is much higher than it was under the Trump administration. The oil companies decided
because the supply and the demand equation has changed. So I'm just wondering if we're producing less and relying on that less production now coming from other parts of the world, didn't we kind of create this problem?
No, the mistake was a few years ago, oil companies decided not to produce more. That's what would have been required. And we ought to have invested in electric vehicles and solar and wind so that we didn't have the demand at the level it is. And we had more price stability. We're not in that situation. For 4 years,
well,
we didn't
had
make
record
any investment.
fracking going on, record shale activity going on. I mean, the bottom line is that came to an abrupt reversal. I'm not trying to cast political aspersions. I guess what I'm asking is what you make, Congressman, of what the president can do right now. He seems to be relying on the hope that maybe things stabilize in time. Maybe he can get the supply chain thing under control and this will go away. Are you in that camp that this just eases as time goes on?
No, I'm off the camp that we've got to take aggressive action. I think you ought to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. I think we ought to tell OPEC that we need the supply now. We give the Saudis plenty of money and arms. I think we ought to look for other energy sources. And we ought to be investing heavily in renewable energy and electric vehicles so we reduce the demand. And then ultimately, we have to look at what we can do on the price of eggs, the price of milk, look at the tools that the Ag Department may have to be able to engage in some form of relief. I mean, the Ag Secretary has a number of tools, but I understand it's an issue. I understand. I mean, I'm back home. I'm hearing it from my constituents that prices have gone up, and we can't just wish this away. I mean, people say, well, it's transitory. What does transitory mean? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Of course, we've got to act.
All right. We'll watch very closely. I'm just impressed. You go to the grocery store. You've obviously been to the gas station, so you see for yourself what average Americans are seeing. Congressman, very good to see you.